will give you one of my daughter to be your slave. I have a lot of them, and just one wouldn't really matter. You can choose anyone you want. She can be your slave, your maid, anything. I don't really care. Please, just help me. Nwankwo was shocked. This was the least thing he had expected to hear. Once upon a time, in a small town where everyone knew each other's stories, there lived a man named Odumeje. Unlike others, Odumeje was famous, but for a reason that was both his shadow and his light. He was known throughout the town for his love of alcohol, a love so deep that sober moments were as rare as rain in a desert for him. Day or night, you would find him under the spell of his bottles, a constant fixture at the village square. Odumeje's life was a tapestry of laughter and whispers. He knew everything happening in the village. People gathered around him, not just to share a drink, but to share stories and moments filled with laughter that echoed through the streets, thanks to Odumeje's antics and tales. His presence was like a magnet, drawing people from their homes to join in the communal harmony of shared amusement. Odumeje's life was a bustling, crowded world of his own making, with 3 wives and 12 children. His home was a cacophony of voices and laughter, a testament to the life he led. People often marveled at how a man so fond of drink could charm not one but 3 women into marrying him. The secret, though, was no mystery to those who knew him well. Odumeje possessed a sense of humor that was as vast and deep as the ocean. It was this ability to find joy and laughter in the mundane, to turn even the dullest day bright with his jokes that drew his wives to him like moths to a flame. When his mother was alive, she had tried everything possible to stop him from drinking, but he told her that drinking was what kept him alive and happy. There was nothing anyone could do to stop this. The sad part was, he never took care of his family. His wives had to hustle their way out or they would die of hunger. Odumeje was a very lazy man. His father left so many plots of lands, but he refused to farm. He knew how to play flute so well, but it couldn't fetch him enough money as he only got jobs during festive periods. During his off-season, he would borrow money from every single person he knew, and he could lie so well that you would even give him the last penny you have. Many of the villagers would swear never to lend him money again, but not when you see him. Odumeje was a born liar, and people would always say that he had a charm in his tongue. All 12 of Odumeje's children were girls. He had kept on remarrying to see if he could get even one male son, but all proved abortive. He then gave up and resorted to drinking, refusing to train any of those girls in school. He strongly believed that having a girl child was as good as not having a child at all. Odumeje kept on borrowing, to the point that his creditors began coming after him. He pleaded with his wife, but they all refused to help him settle his debts. He was almost owing the entire village, and they were after him to pay his debts. His wives had warned him to stop borrowing, but he wouldn't listen. He was a very useless man. This was getting out of hand, as they even resorted to beating him wherever they saw him. Odumeje didn't know what to do. There was this very wealthy man who lived in the city, but usually visited the village from time to time. His name was Nwankwo. When Odumeje heard he came around, he felt luck had come his way and decided to visit him to see if he could help him out with money to settle his debt. Nwankwo knew Odumeje very well, and from time to time, he always went there to play him flute whenever he came around. And at the end, Nwankwo would give him some money, which was usually spent on kai kai, popularly known as dry gin. That day, he dressed up and set out. Nwankwo lived in a big mansion in the village, and he was resting in his garden when Odumeje came in. As usual, he greeted him with his oja. Odumeje was a skillful player and would always lift your spirits with his flute. Nwankwo, being gingered, stood up and began dancing around. He danced till Odumeje was tired of playing. Then he ordered his servants to give Odumeje palm wine. Everyone knew how much Odumeje loved drinking. When they had both settled down with their drinks, Odumeje told Nwankwo that he had come to seek his help. As he spoke, tears started rolling out of his eyes. "If you can help me, my creditors are after my life. They are threatening to report me to the deity. If they do that, my life will be a mess," he cried. Nwankwo was touched, but he knew Odumeje so well and knew that he couldn't pay him back. "How much are we talking about?" he asked him. The amount Odumeje called was a huge one. Nwankwo exclaimed. In Odumeje's entire life, he wouldn't be able to pay back that money. "How do you intend to pay me back?" he asked again, trying to know what Odumeje was going to say. Odumeje was silent. He had no means to pay back. Even if he played his oja for 10 years, he wouldn't be able to raise the money to clear his debts. One thing flashed through his mind. "I will give you one of my daughters to be your slaves. I have a lot of them, and just one wouldn't really matter. You can choose anyone you want. She can be your slave, your maid, anything. I don't really care. Please, just help me." Nwankwo was shocked. This was the least thing he had expected to hear. How could Odumeje use his daughter to borrow money? How? He knew Odumeje was desperate and decided to ploy on his desperation. He was going to accept his offer and take his daughter as his slave. He smiled at the thought. "Come with any of your daughters tomorrow. Your choice is my choice." Odumeje was so excited as he jumped up with excitement. As he walked home, he thought of the lies he was going to tell his family. Odumeje was a professional liar, and this was not a difficult task for him at all. When he got home that day, he called his family together, pretending to be sober, and apologized to them for how he has been treating them. He told them how he has been self-reflecting and have decided to be a better father. "I would love for all my girls to go to school, but I do not have enough money. So, I spoke to Chief Nwankwo and he has promised to train one of you in school." Odumeje's sudden change came as a rude shock to his family, as it was unexpected and they all hoped it was for good. His girls began to fight over who would go with Chief Nwankwo to the city, and Odumeje chose Anwuli, his eighth daughter. She was 13 years old and a very smart child. Anwuli was very happy. She danced around excited that she would be going to the city. She had heard so many stories about the city and couldn't wait to experience it herself. The next morning, Odumeje took her to Chief Nwankwo's house. Anwuli trotted behind her father happily, unaware of the transaction that was going to take place. Nwankwo gave Odumeje enough money to pay up his debts and start up a business. Odumeje was so excited. He told Nwankwo that once he made enough money, he would pay him up and take his daughter back. But Nwankwo knew that Odumeje was never going to pay him back. Indirectly, he just paid him for his daughter. That day was the happiest day in Odumeje's life. He paid off all his debts and went back to his drinking lifestyle. Nwankwo had given him enough money, and Odumeje thought the money would never finish. Odumeje was happy for a bit, because he didn't have to worry about his debts anymore. But the real effects of what he had done would soon show. It was now up to Anwuli, the daughter he had chosen for a future she didn't pick, to face the consequences of her father's action. Her story could either show how one can overcome tough situations or reflect the sad consequences of her father's choices. Chief Nwankwo brought young Anwuli to the city to live as a servant in his household. This was a huge change for Anwuli, and she had no idea what was waiting for her. She met Chief Nwankwo's wife, Adamma, right away. Adamma was stunning to look at, but her heart was cold and cruel. Together, she and her husband were experts at taking advantage of others. Many young girls had come to live with them before Anwuli, but none could stand Adamma's harsh ways and had run away to their families. Even the members of her own family stayed away from her because she was so tough and mean. Adamma was actually excited when her husband told her about Anwuli, especially that he bought her and she would be with them forever. This was the beginning of a very tough life for Anwuli, with all her hopes and dreams shattered. Anwuli, who once dreamed of studying and enjoying life in the city, found herself living a nightmare as a servant. She worked tirelessly, doing every household task without any gratitude, from washing and cleaning to cooking, and when she had nothing to do, she would work on Chief Nwankwo's vast ranch. There was no single rest for her. Every day, even when she was sick, she would work. On top of that, Adamma made sure Anwuli remembered she was nothing more than a slave every single day of her life. Learning that her own father had traded her freedom to pay off his debts broke Anwuli's heart. She spent many nights crying, feeling trapped with no way out. Despite this, she accepted her harsh reality, facing each day with the little strength she could muster. Adamma was relentless, quick to yell and scold Anwuli for even the smallest mistake. The day Anwuli mistakenly broke a cup, all hell was let loose. "You are such a hopeless and unfortunate child," she screamed at her. "No wonder your father sold you off." Anwuli was broken. She began to wonder if she was unfortunate. Adama must be right. If not, why would her father sell her off? She cried all night, wishing death would come her way. Under Adama's roof was a constant battle, one that tested Anwali's spirit every single day. Adama had daughters around Anwali's age, but she treated them like treasures. Mma and Ollie had daughters, lived a life of luxury. They always wanted the latest trending things and were never content with the many things their parents gave them. One day, something big happened. Chief Nwankwo came home with a lot of money from selling his goods at the market. He planned on using this money to buy more goods the next day, so he put it in his room for safekeeping. But the next morning, he found that the money had disappeared. Chief Nwankwo's daughters were the one who took the money, but they quickly blamed Anwali, saying she must have taken it since she cleaned the whole house. Anwali tried her best to convince everyone she didn't do it. She cried and begged with all her heart, but no one listened to her. My daughters have everything they could possibly want. They wouldn't steal, Adama argued. She said Anwali stole the money to help her father get her out of their house. Maybe you plan to send our money to your wordless father, thinking he can buy your freedom. But remember, you are stuck with us forever. Anwali was innocent, but nobody would listen to her side of the story. She was punished harshly as Adama splashed pepper on her body and flogged her mercilessly with a big stick as if she was an animal, after which she locked her up in a dark room, left to go hungry for days. Meanwhile, Adama's daughters felt relieved that no suspicion fell on them. They didn't care that someone innocent was suffering because of them. They were just glad to avoid trouble and spent the money recklessly on new clothes and bags. Deep down, Adama knew the truth. She knew her daughters were the ones who took the money. However, she didn't want her husband to find out and start thinking badly of them. Despite everything, Adama recognized Anwali's goodness and innocence, but she chose to protect her daughters over doing what was right. 5 long days later, Anwali was released from the dark room because the house was in disarray without her work. Covered in marks and injuries from the punishments, she was so sick, but nobody showed any concern for her well-being. Over time, her physical wounds started to heal, yet inside she was shattered. Parts of her spirit were broken and scattered. Every day, she shed tears, hoping for some kind of rescue. But what chance did a girl in her position really have for escape or help? Her days were filled with work and her nights with silent prayers for a miracle. Yet, the heavy weight of despair made it hard to hold onto hope. Odumeje quickly spent all the money Nwankwo had given him, not using any of it to better his situation. He soon fell back into his old ways, completely unaware of the harsh realities his daughter Anwali faced in Chief Nwankwo's home. Whenever Chioma, Anwali's mother, inquired about her daughter, the answer was always the same: she is very fine. But this couldn't be further from the truth, as she remained in the dark about the suffering Anwali was enduring. As time passed, Anwali's struggle only intensified, with each day seeming darker than the last. The hope of escaping her harsh reality faded further away, leaving her to face the grim acceptance that her situation might never change. No one ever appreciated her for the endless tasks she completed. Her hard work went unnoticed. Instead, it's either she's being cursed at or Adama was reminding her of how hopeless her family was. Each night, she would cry herself to sleep, feeling deeply the vast divide between her life and that of Nwankwo's daughters. They lived in a world of privilege, attending the finest schools and dressing in the latest fashions, while Anwuli was trapped in a life of servitude, her dreams just out of reach. Her body was filled with scars that were a constant reminder of her status as a slave. They were not just physical marks, but symbols of the deep pain and injustice she carried with her every day. Years rolled by, and the lives of Chief Nwankwo's daughters took a turn for the better as they were getting married to wealthy husbands. Meanwhile, Anwuli, who had been with the family for 17 long years, saw no end to her servitude. Adamma, Chief Nwankwo's wife, clearly reminded her that slaves had no prospects of marriage or freedom, as they were bound to their masters. These words weighed heavily on Anwuli, casting a shadow over her spirit. The vibrant and hopeful girl she once was had faded into the background, leaving behind a woman who felt invincible and forgotten. As the household buzzed with excitement over the upcoming weddings, with everyone picking out new attire and reveling in the joyous preparations, Anwuli's world remained bleak. Despite her crucial role in getting everything ready, she was neglected, her sorrow deepening amidst the festivities. Her days were filled with endless tasks, and her nights with longing for a freedom that seemed more distant with each passing day. The Nwankwo family, known for their wealth and large kindred, was bustling with excitement and preparations as the wedding day approached. Relatives from all over the world started returning home, filling the house with laughter and stories from afar. It was during this festive time that Ifeanyi encountered Anwuli. Anwuli, even with her heavy heart, had prepared a pot of jollof rice for the newly arrived guests. The dish was a masterpiece of flavors, a testament to her skill and care, even in the most trying of circumstances. When Ifeanyi tasted the jollof rice, he was blown away. Ifeanyi, a young and successful billionaire in the oil sector, had spent many years abroad and was known for his kind nature. Captivated by the exceptional taste of Anwuli's cooking, he found himself wanting to meet the talented cook behind it. He had never tasted a meal that delicious. Despite his repeated inquiries, Adama seemed reluctant to let him meet her. She dismissed him by telling him it was prepared by a mere slave girl. But Ifeanyi knew how to get whatever he wanted. Seizing an opportunity one afternoon, when the house was empty, with everyone out shopping for the wedding, Ifeanyi ventured into the kitchen, and there he saw Anwuli. Her beauty, evident even beneath the weariness and her tattered attire, caught him completely off guard. It wasn't just her culinary skills that left an impression on him. Her presence, despite her sorrowful eyes, was striking. When Ifeanyi attempted to engage her in conversation, Anwuli was hesitant, aware of her madam's strict rules against socializing with guests. He chose to remain silent, fearing the consequences of being caught in such an exchange. Even as Ifeanyi showered her with compliments about her cooking, she stayed muted, pretending she was unable to speak to avoid any potential trouble her interactions might cause. Ifeanyi watched Anwuli closely, and it didn't take long for him to realize the depth of her suffering. He didn't need anyone to tell him that she was trapped in a life of endless labor and mistreatment. It pained him to see someone so young and vibrant being subjected to such cruelty. Noticing that Anwuli spent her nights working tirelessly while the rest of the household slept, Ifeanyi felt compelled to act. He couldn't stand by and watch her suffer alone. So, in the quiet of the night, he began to secretly help her with the chores, working alongside her. They managed to complete the task much faster. This act of kindness was more than just assistance. It was a silent protest against the injustice Anwuli faced every day, and a testament to Ifeanyi's growing concern and care for her well-being. As Anwuli and Ifeanyi spent those quiet moments together, their connection began to grow. It was during one of these late-night sessions that Anwuli opened up about her true situation. She shared with Ifeanyi the heartbreaking story of how her own father had sold her to pay off his debts, making her a slave in Chief Nwankwo's household. Hearing Anwuli's story, Ifeanyi felt a profound sense of pain. Chief Nwankwo was his uncle, a man he had respected and admired all his life. Yet, he was now revealed as someone capable of such cruelty. Anwuli recounted the hardships and abuse she had endured under his roof, painting a picture of a life filled with suffering and devoid of hope for rescue. This revelation shook Ifeanyi to his core, challenging his perceptions and forcing him to confront the harsh realities of Anwuli's existence. The knowledge of her suffering, compounded by the fact that it was happening within his own family's home, ignited a determination within Ifeanyi to make things right for Anwuli. Ifeanyi felt a deep connection with Anwuli's story. He realized he was falling in love with her, not just for her cooking, but for her kind and gentle nature. He knew he had to do something to help her out of her terrible situation, a situation that seemed like it would never change. The next morning, Ifeanyi went to talk to his uncle, Nwankwo. Even though he was really upset with him, Ifeanyi kept his cool. He couldn't understand how in today's world, someone could treat another person, especially a young girl, as badly as his uncle did. It weighed heavily on his heart. Nwankwo tried to defend himself, saying, "It's not my fault. Her father sold her to me." Even as he spoke those words, he felt a sting of guilt, but he wouldn't admit it to himself, much less to Ifeanyi. Ifeanyi stared at his uncle, anger burning in his eyes. "Look at your own kids, uncle. They have had everything, the best schools, the best clothes, the best of everything, and now they are getting married to great partners. And then there's Anwuli, someone else's daughter, whose life you've completely ruined. She has no future because of you. I can't believe you've done this. I'm so disappointed at you." Nwankwo had no response. He remained silent, partly because he was indebted to Ifeanyi, who had put a lot of money into his business, because no one ever dared speak to him. in such manner. Fear kept him from speaking up, but he was about to hear something from Ifeanyi that he never expected. "I will pay what his father owes you," Ifeanyi said firmly. Nwankwo couldn't hide his surprise. He couldn't understand why Ifeanyi cared so much about Anwule, who he thought wasn't worth bothering about. "That girl is mine now," he roared. "I own her." His words were harsh, filled with a sense of ownership that made Ifeanyi's resolve even stronger. "If you don't tell me how much her family owes you, I will go to the authorities, and you will be in trouble for keeping her like this. She's not something you can own. She deserves to be free," Ifeanyi said, his patience wearing thin. He was shocked and angry at how cruel his uncle and aunt could be. He decided he wouldn't be part of any family events, especially not the weddings. Ifeanyi was ready to leave the house, check into a hotel, and he planned to take Anwule with him. He was prepared to write a big check to Nwankwo and secure Anwule's freedom once and for all. The thought of her suffering any longer was unbearable to him. He followed through with his decision. That very evening, he wrote a check to Nwankwo and took Anwule from that harsh environment, moving her into a hotel for safety. While Nwankwo was left feeling guilty about how he had treated Anwule, his wife Adamma felt no remorse. Instead, she was furious. She ranted about how Ifeanyi thought he could do whatever he wanted just because he was wealthy. She even threatened to take action against him, showing a stark difference in how each of them reacted to Ifeanyi's bold move. Anwule found it hard to grasp that she was truly free. Yet, deep inside, she was terrified. The Nwankwo family wielded a lot of power, and she couldn't shake off the fear that they might try to come after her. Although Ifeanyi had assured her of his protection, she didn't fully understand the extent of his wealth and the safety it could offer her. As time passed, Anwule's wounds, both physical and emotional, began to heal. Her relationship with Ifeanyi grew stronger each day. The more time Ifeanyi spent with her, the deeper his feelings for her became. Anwule's kindness and resilience touched his heart deeply. She was everything he had ever hoped for in a partner. Anwule, in turn, found herself deeply drawn to Ifeanyi. His kindness and the love he showed her were unlike anything she had ever known. Despite his wealth and status, he treated her with such genuine care and affection. Ifeanyi wanted Anwule to have time to recover fully from her ordeal before he considered taking her back to her family, ensuring she was strong enough to face whatever came next. When Anwule returned to her family, her mother couldn't hold back her tears. Anwule looked healthy and well cared for, something her mother feared she might never see again. The reunion was emotional as Anwule recounted the hardships she had endured. Her story moved her mother and siblings to tears. The journey had been incredibly tough on her. During this time, they learned that Anwule's father had become very ill and was confined to his bed. His condition was seen by his wives as a form of retribution for the wrongs he had done, including selling Anwule into slavery. In the midst of these emotional reunions, Ifeanyi took a moment to express his deep feelings for Anwule in front of her parents. He declared his wish to marry her, stating that there was no reason to delay. "You are everything I want in a woman and more," he confessed. making it clear how much he loved her and wanted to spend his life with her. As Ifeanyi's words sunk in, tears streamed down Anwule's cheeks. She was overwhelmed by emotions she hadn't dared to feel for so long. The thought of being free was once a distant dream, and the idea of being loved by someone as wonderful as Ifeanyi was beyond anything she had ever imagined. She embraced him tightly, her tears a mix of joy and disbelief at the turn her life had taken. Ifeanyi was well aware that his decision wouldn't sit well with his family. They might never accept his choice to marry someone who had been a slave. But looking into Anwule's eyes, feeling the truth of their love, he knew none of that mattered. They had found each other against all odds, and their love was what only truly mattered to him, and he was ready to stand up for her. Years passed, and fortune turned its back on Chief Nwankwo. His businesses began to crumble, plunging him into a deep sea of debt. He had struggled silently for a long time, keeping his family in the dark about the looming financial storm. But as things went from bad to worse, the truth would no longer be hidden. Adding to his family's trouble, Chief Nwankwo's daughters, who had left the nest with the dreams of grandeur, following their marriages, found themselves returning home. Their marriages had crashed because they were unable to adapt to their new roles or contribute to their homes beyond their desires for luxury and fashion. The homemaking skills they lacked and the values they never learned had come back to haunt them, and their spouses had no choice but to send them back to their father's house. The family faced not just financial ruin but a complete collapse of the life they once knew, dragging their family name to mud. Meanwhile, Ifeanyi and Anwule's story took a different path. They got married, a testament to their enduring love and the strength they found in each other. Ifeanyi fulfilled his promise to Anwule, taking her away from the hardships of her past life. Together they started a new life, building a life filled with love, respect and the freedom Anwule had once thought impossible to achieve. Their journey was a stark contrast to the downfall of the Nwankwo family, showcasing the unpredictable twist of fate and the power of true love and resilience. Anwule's father died of kidney failure, despite numerous efforts to save him. Anwule, now in a position to make a difference, turned her attention to her sisters. With the support and resources she and Ifeanyi had, she helped them forge new paths, whether it was through education, training or finding employment. Anwule was determined to lift her family out of poverty that had once seemed their only inheritance. Her actions brought a new light into their lives, proving that even from the darkest situations, hope and renewal can emerge. Anwule's journey from a life of servitude to one of empowerment and giving back to her family was a testament to her strength, compassion, and the transformative power of love and support. Thank you for watching this story, and I hope you enjoyed it and learned a lot of lessons from it. Please, I would love to read your lesson in the comment section. And if you are yet to subscribe to my YouTube channel, please subscribe to my channel and turn on the notification bell so that you get notified whenever we post new stories. And don't forget, I deeply appreciate all your love and constant support. That's what keeps me going, and I hope to create better stories in future. Thank you, and don't forget to subscribe. Bye, and see you in our next story.